Hey everybody, it is Michaelville here with another Michael's Talk podcast. This is episode 5 of the podcast. I am joined here again with Jeff Hart, and today's podcast is going to be about driving semis and driving buses. So yeah,
Yeah.
right now, if you're watching the podcast and not just listening to it, you can see that I'm wearing my Broncos jacket, which is the bus company I drive for, and I'm also wearing this hat, which is for the trucking company I used to work for when I was a trucker, and this is for Phoenix Trucking, and Jeff is over here rocking his
Got the Around the World Trucking
yeah, and you got a hat and a
shirt.
shirt.
This is who I work for right now.
Yeah. So, let's just get right into it, I think. So, first question, is it hard to drive a semi or a bus?
Semi can be hard. I have a problem with backing up, but the bus is. If it's not a big bus, it's fine. But I used to drive a school bus, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, see. So, for me, which I think really buses, like even a big bus, because usually I drive a big bus. When I'm driving buses, I usually drive big buses. But I feel like it's just a bus. It's not always the easiest thing to back up. It's just because of how big it is. But I feel like when I'm driving a bus over a semi, a bus is way easier to like move around. Because a semi, I think
Yeah.
it's more like backing up a bus is way easier than a semi. And I think it's just because, the bus is all one thing. A semi, you have the trailer. And the trailer's just kind of.
Especially if you have a double hooked two trailers on the back, that's a nightmare.
I've hauled something when I was trucking, and it was like the hardest and most dangerous thing I ever hauled. And it was like the trailer was I was hauling a plane like wing. I had a wing on the trailer, and it had like 3 attachment points. So it was like I had a thing hooked to the truck, then I had another trailer hooked to the attachment hooked to my truck, and then there was another like just like tire setup hooked to my truck. It was like so it had like 3 different moving sections of the
The
trailer.
most I've ever had is two. And I think the scariest one I had was when I had the gas. The gas. Liquid, gas. I had gasoline in the back of my.
Yeah, I've done a couple loads with that. Like 2
I had
trailers.
two big ones, like full size.
Yeah, I've done that. I load like that before too. Like 2 large trailers hooked together. It's not the best. And backing that up when you have to back up that, and that's even more. That's even worse because it's hard to back up trailers. And then when you have something that's explosive,
Yeah,
like
I
it's
get. I got. I don't like towing. Um, any. But I'm okay with towing it, but like, you have to be so much extra careful. Like,
yeah, which it's with the way people drive. you know, it's
I think cut off while driving. Um, double.
yeah.
I was going like 60, and this guy came in front of me only going like 65, and almost hit him.
Yeah. Next question. What is a good story about driving a bus or a semi?
My best story, I did haul chemicals once, and I was going, and I was on this big cliff, and I was like right on the edge, and I was going, and this guy like pushed super close up against the side of my truck. I kind of moved away a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I almost like flew off because part of the railing was broke from a crash.
Yeah, so I think my good story of trucking And really like one of the scariest things that happened to me when I was trucking. So I was doing a logging route. So I had, a trailer full of logs. And I was going up this sketchy mountain one way, like like you could not fit two trucks on that road. And it was like, there was no guardrail, there was nothing. It's like one road, like one lane, and there's just a huge cliff. The higher you get, the scarier it is. And then I got to this horrible thing, okay? I can't believe they didn't, like, do something. They're like, you're fine. You can drive a semi across it. They had planks of wood, okay? There was like a hole in the road where the mountain like slid down, like a landslide came down, and there was just this place in the road that there was no road. So they just put planks, a couple wooden planks there. And that's what I had to drive on. I drove on wooden planks to get across. And that was freaking scary as hell. I was like, because I had to line up on those, make sure I didn't, drive off of those, because those were the only things keeping me up there. And then too, if those broke in half, I'm dead. And then it was just too, how it was the road was so tight, one lane, super tight. And it's just like one way, one side I got a mountain, so I can't get over there, and the other side I have a cliff. Like, so yeah, it was fun.
I would hate to do that.
Yeah, I didn't do that many routes up in the mountains, so it was fine, kinda. Bus story, so I got a good bus story. So, because like you guys know, I drive for Bronco, so I drive, buses all over the United States and into Canada and Mexico and stuff. Not usually into Mexico. I drove a couple routes into Canada. But for me, for driving a bus, a great story, which it wasn't great, but it was interesting. So we had this guy on the bus, right? Yeah? Okay, so it was actually going pretty good, actually. It was a route from New York to Salt Lake City. And I was driving. We were about halfway to Salt Lake. And then there was this guy. Somehow he smuggled a gun onto the bus. Okay?
He found out he had a gun.
Somehow he smuggled a gun on the bus, okay? And he just, like, came out, got up all of a sudden, and came up to me and Phil. And he was like, "You're gonna take me to Canada."
Did you take him to Canada?
Well, I would listen to him. I didn't take him to Canada, but I listened to him. So this is what happened was like, I was horrified because, I got this guy pointing a gun at me. I was driving a big bus too. I was driving and I had 50 passengers on the bus. And, me, Phil, and then that guy, and then 50 other passengers. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get killed because if he shot me then, we're all dying, just dead. Or if he, took over or something, I don't know. So I just said, okay, listen to what he said. And I went we were heading over to Canada. He shot out my CB, so I couldn't, do anything. I couldn't have reached for my CB and hey, I need help or something. Because he shot it. And then, yeah. So when I was driving on the highway, he wasn't looking. And I made sure the seatbelt button was on, that no one was up and walking around, that the bathroom sign wasn't on. Everyone should be having their seatbelts on. Phil had his seatbelt on. I had mine. That guy was just standing up in the aisle, with his gun. And I was just he turned around to look at the people on the bus, and he was going to start talking to them. He kind of started saying stuff to them about what was going to happen, and I just went off-roading. We were on the highway, going like 75 miles an hour, and I just right through the guardrail. Right through the
Was
guardrail.
everyone okay after that?
He wasn't. Everyone else was pretty much okay. He wasn't. He went through the windshield. Which that was my plan. Like, we went out. I went in off the guardrail, man, and we just went going down like a field and hit the only reason we stopped was because we hit a, like, hill. Like, so we started going up a little bit of a hill, and then it slowed us down, and then we just rolled back. But, dude, he went flying out the window. Which that was my plan anyway, because everyone else had their seatbelts on. And he was just standing in the aisle. So, when I did that, he went flying out the front window. So, yeah. He wasn't okay. So, everyone else was, I was a little beat up, and Phil was a little injured, but everyone else was okay, except him. He was really injured.
Yeah. So, like, I don't have, I was a school bus driver, not a little bus driver going from state to state. I was just going around
in
a town. But I've had kids bring like vapes on there. They'll sit in the back and just smoke.
Yeah.
I
had a kid do that actually, too, on my trip to Miami.
Yeah, I watched that video.
Yeah, that was good. He brought a vape, he brought weed, and he had pornography on him.
Yeah. For driving, they started, like, they smoke boxed it,
Yeah.
Like, no one could see, started coughing, and then, like, a kid on our bus passed out from all the fumes that were on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
That kid, we ended up having, like, to pull over, but there was nowhere to pull over. So I was, like, in the middle of the road trying to help this kid on the ground. I had so many people honking at me.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to just press the button, put up the stop signs, go around,
Yeah. So you didn't have, like, a helper on the bus?
No. That day, no one was there for me.
Yeah. I think if I know a lot of bus drivers that, don't have helpers because they don't think they need them, which I guess you don't, really, unless you have special kids on the bus, I guess.
I didn't have any of the special kids.
Like, I know for, like, my job, my kind of bus driving, I kind of need someone on the bus because I have to do catering and stuff, and I can't really do catering when I'm driving,
Yeah.
I can't just, like, I guess I could just hit that cruise control button, get up from my seat, and start walking down the aisle. You want some food? Hopefully no turns happen, and, hope my wheels probably just
get long straightaway. Yeah, I'm good. Just cruise control, get up, get us some food, some water.
Yeah.
We good.
I don't think that's that like, safe or legal, but, that's why I have Phil, which that's, like, a good part, but...
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, one quick thing since you brought up, like, that fume thing. Don't you hate when people, like... Well, what kids did you drive? Well, obviously you drove, like, middle school, high school, huh? Bringing vapes on a bus. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I know you had to have this problem. Perfume. The kids said,
sometimes
like...
Sometimes it stink up the bus.
Yeah, the kids said...
One problem I used to have was one kid brought, like, 2 cans of body spray.
Uh-huh.
Sprayed both the cans all through the bus. My bus was stinky for, like, the longest time.
Yeah, that's, like, what I'm talking about, man. I've had a few routes, man, and people need... And sometimes it's not a kid. Sometimes it's a freaking grown-ass adult that's like... Well, I gotta smell good, so they get out their perfume or something and spray their whole freaking bottle. It's like, yeah, don't think about all the other people on the bus, okay? And don't think about how someone could have an allergic reaction from that. Because some people are allergic to stuff like perfumes. So, yeah, just spray just use a whole bottle when you're in that, like, a small thing like that, too. Like, a bus is a pretty small, like, small corridors to be spraying perfume in. Cologne or anything. Like, and if you're gonna put it on, put, like, 1, 2, spritz, not freaking a whole thing.
Yeah. Just put on some deodorant.
Just don't put anything on when you're on the bus. Do that before you get on the bus.
If you have a super strong deodorant, I wouldn't recommend putting that on. But just like deodorant that smells but isn't strong.
Yeah.
I would be okay with.
So.
My bus.
Yeah, I just don't like that stuff. It's no. What do you love about driving a semi or a bus? Like, favorite part?
For a semi, I like being able to sleep in it.
Semi.
I also like just getting to drive because I like driving.
Yeah, I like and I have said this actually in I think another video too, that I'm planning on getting back into trucking here soon. Because I haven't trucked for some years. I stopped trucking in 2008. Is when I stopped trucking. So I haven't trucked for a while, but I'm planning on getting back into it around maybe the end of this year, but I don't know yet because it's stuff I have to work stuff out with Fun Times, because I can't really just stop. I own Fun Times and I'm also truck driving. Can't just do that. I have to retire from Fun Times before I can do truck driving. Right now with my bus driving, I'm like a substitute.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not driving a bus all the time. I'm just a substitute driver. And I'm not even.
I just got back into trucking class. I say
Hasn't been that long.
At the beginning of this year.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long. It's a pretty fun job, really. There's some bad things about it, but, there's some pretty good things,
One of my favorite things is when I get to tow, big loads of trucks. Cars.
Yeah.
Those ones are really fun. Sometimes you get, really, really nice cars.
And just wish you could drive those home. Just drive the semi home and unload the trucks there and stuff.
One time I had someone who needed me to ship all of their cars from Fast and the Furious that they had custom made. I shipped it all the way from, I think I took it from Kansas City. Kansas City to, I think it was Miami, Florida. I took it from Kansas to Florida. I brought 8 different Fast and the Furious cars.
Pretty cool. So
it's my favorite drive.
So did you so does your company ATWT do they assign you a truck, or do you
So they have this truck assigned for me right now. I'm just saving up to get a newer one.
Okay. Because, I'm wondering, because I know some companies, you work for a company, but they make you buy your own truck. You have to buy your own truck.
Right now, I don't really have the money to buy my own truck, because those trucks are really expensive.
Well, for my company, I don't have to buy my own truck. Phoenix Trucking, they just do, they have a whole bunch of trucks, and they just assign drivers to them. I had this old truck that I got in 2001 that was mine from 2001 to 2008, and I love that truck. The only thing I didn't like about it was it had a little bit of a wooden interior, but that was the one thing I didn't like. I loved the rest of it though. It was great. I love that truck. It's just, it was a good truck. It was actually, and the good thing too is I got it in 2001. That's when I was assigned to that truck full time. And the great thing about it was that truck came out in 2001. So it was brand new back then when I started driving it. It was brand new.
Yeah.
I was pretty much its first driver. Like, first driver assigned to it. And then I stopped working there, so now they either probably don't have the truck anymore, and if they do, there's probably been a few drivers assigned to it. That's like the one thing, too, about driving at Broncos. You know, you get assigned a bus.
Yeah.
Which, you know, same thing when you work at the school district, you know, you got assigned a school bus. But, like, for me, too, like...
Sometimes you gotta drive, like, the nice charter buses, so I wouldn't have to... I got to take, the sports teams to their games.
Oh, nice.
It was really fun. I love taking the sports teams to their games, because I get to watch the games for free.
Yeah.
High schoolers' games.
Yep.
I just gotta go in for free and watch the games.
Yeah. Well, and I think... Well, pretty much you get paid for it, really, because you just got paid to drive them there. And then you get to watch the game for free, so you're just getting paid to be there. Just getting paid to drive them there and drive them back. So it's a pretty good deal if you're into sports. So, like, which for you, you know, you're into sports, so it's like a good thing for you.
Really good job.
One
job I would love to get is to work as anything for the NFL.
Yeah.
Like a bus driver for the NFL would be amazing.
Yeah. You know, too, about like getting buses assigned to you, trucks assigned to you. So, like, you know, when I was first working at Broncos, you know, as a bus driver, I worked there and, you know, I got assigned a bus. And usually I had, like, the route that a lot of people didn't like. But, you know, there's a lot of drivers that drove at routes like mine. You know, because my route was New York to L.A. You know? So, a long time, you know. A couple-day route. It paid good money, but, you know. So, I got assigned a bus for that, obviously. Like, to take me across the, you know, country. And I had that bus, since that was pretty much the route. Here and there, I had a different route, but usually all my routes were really long. And I always had the same bus, unless my bus broke down. Which, here and there, my bus broke down. Like right now, that's like the one thing. Because eventually, I kind of want to go back to half-time or full-time driving the buses at Broncos. Because, like right now, like I said, I'm more like a substitute, you know? So, like, if they really need... And I'm not even like their big substitute, you know? I'm like... They need me because they're substitute. A substitute can't be a substitute. So, you know, yeah. And I have to... The one thing I don't like about being a substitute is all the buses. Is that, you know, I'm not assigned a bus. Like right now, I don't.
Whatever bus was.
Yeah, I don't, that's what I don't like about it, being like a substitute, is I don't get my own bus. You know, I'm not assigned to a bus. I don't have my own route, and I'm not assigned to a bus. So, like, I'm just using other, like, you know, the person that normally drives this route isn't here, so I just drive their bus. Like, use their bus, so I use a different bus, you know? Like...
Yeah.
Which... And for some things, have you, like, oh, dude, buses, like, and I drove a lot of different buses at Broncos, because, you know, my bus broke down or something, I drove a different bus, and holy crap, man, some of the buses, it's so confusing, you know, like, you get so used to one bus, you know, the layout of a bus, and then you get in this bus, and it's like, what the heck, what is this? Like, nothing's the same from, like, the other bus. All your controls are in different places. Like, even your button to open the door is not even in the same place. Like, it's just a lot. So, what's something you hate about driving a bus? Bus or a semi?
The semi, I don't like...
The backing up?
So
that.
I don't like listening to the CB most of the time because you
Oh
can hear
yeah.
you can hear the other
Cool.
people on the CB. And they'll be
That's
talking and they're just super annoying.
that's annoying. That is annoying. I usually, when I was trucking, I usually turned it down a lot.
I try not to listen.
I usually just turn my. I never wanted to turn it all the way off, because that's kind of a little stupid. But I turned it really down, like really far down. But like, you know, turn it really far down just because it was like, no, I did not want to. You either crank up the radio, or you like turn the CB down so you can kind of hear it, but you can't hear it too like good. Like I know, cause you kind of gotta be able to hear it, cause if they radio you, like hey what's going on with you or something,
Yeah.
or telling you something that's an important information that you need, because now instead of going here you need to enter this way instead of that way, and you didn't hear because you had your volume down too much. So yeah, but that's true. I hate do like um
Listening to
so why did you
others.
huh well, so why did you stop driving semis, and why did you stop driving buses?
I stopped driving school buses because of tired of the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
then
then I stopped trucking because I offered to. So I stopped trucking for a while because the school was kind of the reason why I did it, because the school offered to be a school bus driver, and I thought it might be cool. So I tried it, and it was fun.
mhm.
And,
So I think for me, like, because I have like a weird job thing, like I was a handyman, like in like 81. That's when I started being a handyman. So I was like 18, and I was a handyman,
Mhm.
you know, and I did that for years, like from 81 to like 2000. And then like in 2000, that's when I started trucking. So I was like
Yeah.
37 when I started trucking. And then I trucked for 8 years. And I think the reason it was really, I just wanted to try driving a bus. Because, I have a CDL. I could drive a semi, I can drive a bus. So I just wanted to see how it would be like to drive a bus. So then I started driving a bus in '08. Drove that until 2019. So I drove that for a lot longer than I drove a bus. I mean a truck, you know?
Yeah.
And then in 2019, when I stopped driving a bus, I started driving a garbage truck.
I don't think I don't. Never driven one of those.
It's not that bad. I know, like, the worst part is the smell, but it's actually not that bad, like, as people make it seem, you know? It's not as bad as people make it seem, like, oh, the inside of that truck smells so bad. It's not as bad as people make it seem. But it's still not great. It's just not as that bad. And then so I started doing that. So I think it was more I just wanted a break from bus driving. So I started doing stuff. Most of my job can have something to do with driving, since that's something I really like to do, is just drive. I actually did not like driving a garbage truck that much. Not because it's a garbage truck, and it's a garbage truck. The main reason I didn't like doing the garbage truck job was because it stops. Which you understand because you drove kids around. You had all these stops you had to stop at. Start doing trucking and driving for Broncos. I only have, like, I can stop whenever I really want. If I need to stop at a gas station, or I want to stop at a restaurant, I can do that whenever I want when I'm coming up to a town. It's not like I have to stop there.
Yeah.
And the only stop I really have to stop at is obviously where at this bus station in that town that I'm going to. You know, that's the only
Yeah.
time I actually have to stop. But like, you know, driving a garbage truck, you get there and you got to go to your places and pick up the trash. And it was like a route thing, and it took a long time. You actually don't spend that much time driving when you think about it because, you're going down like a neighborhood of houses. Look how many trash cans there are. And you're just driving, like you drive like a couple feet to pick up another trash can. Put it down, drive a couple feet, pick up another trash can. So you don't drive. You didn't actually drive them much when I was a
Just
garbage
kind
truck.
of walked a lot.
Yeah, and then the only reason I stopped working as a garbage truck, which I was planning on quitting actually pretty soon anyway, was because in 2021 that's when my brother passed away, and then I got Fun Times.
Yeah.
So then I started driving for Fun Times. So what was one of your favorite routes as a truck driver or a bus driver?
My favorite route as a truck driver was, I think it was, I don't know, really. I haven't, so, that's a brain confuzzlement right now.
Well, I think like one of my favorite routes, like for driving a truck, since I went a lot more places driving a truck than with a bus.
Yeah, I went from, I'm just gonna say like the longest route I've ever done, because I have gone from Oklahoma, like far, like the south side of it, like the thinner spot between like Kansas and Texas.
Uh-huh.
I went from in there, that area, all the way up to Maine.
Okay. I think
We're up there with a load. What did I have? I had solar panels. I had tons of solar panels on the back of my truck.
I think the longest and probably the most my favorite route as a truck driver was probably the route I took from New York City to Canada. I went to, where was it? I always forget the name of the place in Canada. I went to Canada. A route to Canada. If I remember the city's name, Hudson. I think that's right. Yeah, something like that. I went there, New York to Canada though, and I think that's my favorite. It wasn't the farthest, it was not the farthest route I've ever drove, but it was like my favorite just because it's beautiful, man. Canada's pretty nice. When you're driving through Canada, you get into Canada, it's nice. The only thing I didn't like was, the border control. That's like the one thing I don't like about when I was driving, trucks and I went into Canada or Mexico, and I actually did a few routes into Mexico. It's like, dude, the border control, man, ugh. Okay. Last question. Where have you went as a semi driver or a truck bus driver?
The weirdest place I went?
Yeah, I guess the weirdest place. Weirdest place or your favorite place or
I really liked when I went up to Washington. It was very nice up there. Just I drove from Arizona. I came through Nevada, was really boring because everything looks the same. Came through Nevada. And I went through Oregon, which was really nice. It was trees, And when I got to Washington, even better. We're up in the mountains and the trees. It was so nice. That was probably the nicest route.
Yeah. So probably Washington for the best like place you've been.
Yeah, I love Washington. I think that was one of my favorite places for sure.
So I think for truck driving, I would probably say somewhere in Canada, like the places I've been to in Canada, which I never can
The
remember
only
the
place I've
names.
gone to in Canada was Toronto.
I've been there. I always forget the names in Canada, probably because I don't go to Canada that much. Like the only reason I went to Canada the times I have was just because I had a route up there. But I think those towns there were some of my favorite like places to go as a truck driver. And then busing.
I liked being in Canada. I like it's pretty beautiful. I think another place that I really liked was let my brain think again. Was Alaska. I really liked Alaska.
That's pretty far. It's a pretty big far route.
Yeah, I went right up. Like I started in California. I drove up the side of Canada and into Alaska.
Okay. So I see that though. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so I think we're gonna wrap up the Michael's Talk podcast, episode 5. And I guess next week we need to figure something out for next week. I was thinking next week our topic's either gonna be favorite brands of trucks, what's better, or favorites like best sport. What's the best sport? So let us know down in the comments what you want to see in the next video, or I guess the next podcast. And I guess too, if you have any ideas for videos coming up soon. And yeah, you have anything else to say?
No.
Okay.
If anyone on here watches my videos, I got the Barracuda up and running. Just a quick thing. Barracuda's running. I have a truck that I'm thinking about getting that is in Kentucky. Might go get it. So yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay. Well, see you guys in the next podcast.